Hope you're doing well today. It is December 21st. Come on with us to the book of Hebrews. In Hebrews chapter 13, we're going to be looking in verse 5. The reading today is Hebrews 13 as well as 1 Peter 1, but for these few moments we have together, we'll stick with Hebrews 13. Verse 5, let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have, for he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. I'd like for us to just think for a few minutes about contentment and being content three ways. The first way is the most obvious way within the context. Let your conduct be without covetousness. We know what the Lord said, that we should not put our trust in riches. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Covetousness is as idolatry. What we might consider is verse 6, so we may boldly say, actually the tail end of verse 5, for he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my helper. I will not fear what can man do to me. And so we think about what we put our trust in. We think about what our goal is. Because the Lord is my helper. Well, the Lord is my helper to do what? That if we set our mind on earthly things, well, the Lord doesn't help us do that. And that in being aligned with the Lord's goals, the Lord helps us. And so we are content with what we have. Godliness with contentment is great gain. You can't take it with you. Job had to even tell his wife that. And that we come into this world a certain way, and we leave this world a certain way. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And that we just can't take it with us. And so we better not fall prey to the deceitfulness of riches. That's one way, thinking about contentment. Another way is verse 4. Marriage is honorable among all, and the bed undefiled. But fornicators and adulterers God will judge. We need to be content in marriage. And that we know from the end of Proverbs, outward beauty fades away. But that inward beauty, we should appreciate it. We should appreciate it, and we should be content in marriage and not go after what is not ours. And just to think of all the different passages about marriage. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. Ephesians speaks about husbands and wives, and in the context of speaking about Christ and his church. And here we see the need for contentment as well. Marriage is honorable among all, and the bed undefiled. And that fornicators and adulterers, the problem is a lack of contentment and wanting something more, wanting something else. We need to be content in marriage. We also should be content with God's Word. Verse 9, do not be carried about with various and strange doctrines, for it is good that the heart be established by grace. And so we think about being content with God's Word a little bit later on in the chapter, as it says, and let's see, verse 22, I appeal to you, brethren, bear with the word of exhortation, for I have written to you in a few words. And we need to be content with God's word. And that one of the things going on with Hebrews is you had people who are trying to drag them back, and they would have been especially tempted to go back to the old covenant. And I think that's the reason that you have this passage as it speaks about verse 13, therefore let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. And that we need to be content with that. Here we have no continuing city. In some ways we should not be content. We should not be content with sin. We should not be content with, as we think about it, we need to come where Jesus is. And if we are not where Jesus is, we should not be content. But in coming to him and learning from him, that is how we are not carried about with various and strange doctrines. Sometimes people are not content with God's word. They want something else, heaping up for themselves teachers according to their own desires. They have itching ears. They're not content with the simple truth anymore. They want something else. We need to learn to be content. Content with God's Word, content in marriage, content with what we have, with our lot in life, because the Lord is our helper. The Lord is our helper, and that's more than enough. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you join us for our next brief look into God's Word.